G'day fellow addicts, welcome to Andrew Chopper's Audio Addiction, the only YouTube channel where our wallets scream in agony as we sweat profusely in our seats, nervously awaiting the newest audio gear release. Today we are looking at the brand new Aune AR5000 MK2 headphones. Now, if you remember the Mark I about a year or two ago, it was supposedly an incredibly relaxed, mid-centric, comfortable pair of cans with one massive flaw. The plastic headband parts were practically designed to snap if you looked at them funny. Aune went back to the drawing board, replaced the plastic with some seriously heavy metal, tweaked the tuning, and handed us the Mark IIs. Is it a genuine upgrade, or are they just slapping some lipstick on a pig to extract more of your hard-earned cash? Now, I didn't actually get to listen to the Mark Is, but I've done a lot of research on them, as they were criticised in many ways on many forums. I did, however, review the SR7000 closebacks on headfi.org. I'll send a link for that. And I really liked them. So my expectations are quite high, Aune. Sorry. A big shout out and thanks to Shikaku, who has sent out this pair for review. They retail for $369 US and are available through many outlets. I will link. The gear used for this review was a no-brainer. I'll be using the Aune A17 headphone amp, which the review is coming out extremely soon. So this ungodly beast will be driving these bad boys. I'm also using my Gustard R30 DAC and streaming Tidal from PC via USB. Let's get into it. No bloody bullshit. The build. Did they fix the snap? Let's start with the physical hardware because this is where the major engineering plastic surgery happened. The Mark I used plastic on the frame hinges that apparently felt alright, but suffered from major structural fatigue. Aune replaced this with honest-to-God metal on the headband mechanism. It clicks with authority now. I have no issue with potential snapping, it feels quite premium. The weight magic. Somehow, with all the extra metal, it still weighs in at a breezy 365 grams. Your neck will thank you. The clamp force. The original Mark Is felt a bit too loose to some folk, like a wet noodle resting on your skull. The Mark II's clamp force is just enough to feel secure without turning your head into feeling like a vice. The Mark II's are a very comfy pair of cans. The cable upgrade. Thank the oral gods, the audiophiles rejoice in unison. They've thrown away the scratchy old wire that so many complained about online. The Mark II ships with a much cleaner woven modular cable that includes interchangeable 3.5mm, 4.4mm balanced and a 6.3mm plug straight out of the box. It's quite premium in my opinion. The tech specs. Easy bake audiophile pie. Before we talk about how they sound, let's crunch some numbers. The driver is a 50mm dynamic MLD diaphragm. The no bullshit reality is that it's multi-layered distributed, translation, stiff but fast. Impedance is 28 ohms, stupidly low. You do not need a nuclear power plant to run these things. Sensitivity is 112 decibels, louder and easier to drive than the original 108 decibel version. Frequency response, 5 Hz to 43,500 Hz. Human ears stop at 20,000 Hz, but this looks bloody good on the box. Because it's sitting at 28 ohms and 112 decibel sensitivity, you can literally run these things off any dongle, portable DAP, or your game controller without it sounding like a tinny AM radio. It scales really well, but don't let anyone convince you that you need a $10,000 stack to make these things sing. But I will explain how they sound on the A17 later. The sound, a total personality crisis. Here's where the no bullshit part kicks in. Aune claims they kept the soul of the original. That is pure marketing department fan fiction. From my extensive research on Dr. Google, the Mark II is a totally new beast. My mate Kevin Mad Dog sent me a list of the top 50 albums to test speakers and headphones on, so I used quite a number of tracks from those albums. Thanks, Big Kev. A number of classics were listed there, as you'd expect. Brothers in Arms, Dire Straits, Thriller, Michael Jackson, Rumours, Fleetwood Mac, and Asia by Steely Dan, but there were many I hadn't heard as well. Okay, let's break down the sound. The treble, where the black magic happens. The Mark I's were reported as being more relaxed than my cousin Gunter after she'd sucked back 2 huge spliffs. Great for not getting fatigued, but lacked ultimate air and resolution. The Mark II changes the internal acoustic baffle and completely opens up the high end. They are now seriously resolving, detailed, and dynamic up top, and I get no hint of sibilance or harsh crispness. If you listen to acoustic guitars, cymbals, or string arrangements, the detail retrieval here punches way above its class. On IGY by Donald Fagen, there is a ton of synth, guitar, cymbals, and whatnot, and it's as clean as Uncle Donny's Y-fronts before the shot. It has tons of high-end detail with no fatigue. On Metallica's One, cymbals and James and Kirk's guitars can get a little crisp at the start. I have these things loud, and I'm getting a ton of resolution and detail, but no harshness in the slightest. But they aren't smooth either, and that's in a good way. On Peacefield by Ghost, the same thing can happen on treble forward head-fi and gear. But not on the Mark IIs. These things give you a ton of resolution and detail without fatigue. I'm really impressed. The mid-range, forward and intimate. On the Mark IIs, vocals are incredibly clear, intimate and realistic. If you love vocal-heavy tracks, you are going to absolutely melt in your chair. On Money for Nothing, Mr. Knopfler is just situated beautifully in front of me, and so natural. He's not forward, he's not hiding. He has weight and power and a lifelike timbre. Ms. Nix sounds so real and organic on Dreams. She has such a presence. And on Asia by Steely Dan, piano and guitars are very naturally recreated. And again, Mr. Donald Fagen's vocals are rich and vivid. The bass. More booty, anyone? Aune say they have returned the airflow and magnetic circuit to give the lower frequencies more body. The mid-bass has a nice presence. You get a warm, full-bodied, low-end experience with decent weight. They actually go quite deep too. On smoother tracks, they play nicely in the background where they're supposed to, but when called to the forefront, they really do slam. Apart from being a great song in general, An Englishman in New York by Sting has a lovely bass run, and it's recreated really well on the Mark IIs. It goes low and supports the song very well. The bass run on Billie Jean by Michael Jackson is powerful and low, and it's recreated beautifully on the Mark IIs. It's dynamic, punchy, and full. On Dreams by the F Max again, the bass is something else, and it sounds deep and commanding. You funkers want funk and funk? Black Cow by Steely Dan showcases an awesome, deep and powerful bass beat, which goes low on the Mark IIs. It's so well controlled. I wouldn't quite call them bass cannons, but damn, they handle the low end with aplomb. Now, on old faves like Chica Chica by BB Rexa, they could almost call them bass cannons. They go really deep, and they are so well controlled. No bleed, no bloat, they're precise. Soundstage and imaging, the naked ear effect. The signature feature here is the large tilt angle driver structure. The drivers are heavily angled inside the cups to mimic the way that the sound hits your ears from studio monitors. Combine that with the new rear airflow design, and soundstage is massive. When you put these on, it genuinely feels like you're not wearing headphones at all. The vertical imaging and lateral spacing are staggering for a dynamic driver under $400 US. On Ride Across the River by Dire Straits, the drums are out wide in both ears. Vocals are in front of my nose and sounds are all around me. Staging and imaging are simply excellent. Again, on An Englishman in New York, staging is 3D and imaging is so well done. Sounds, and there are a ton of them, are all around my skull and very lifelike. Again, on Billie Jean, staging is expansive and imaging utilises that space really well. Throwing instruments all around me, but separated really well too. Great mixing, great headphones, and what does Andrew Chopper always say? You can't polish a sonic turd. The A17 amp is doing a magnificent job of driving these cans. As I said, you don't need to spend thousands of dollars, but these things scale so well. So if you have the expensive equipment, you'll get so much more out of them. I finish with You Shook Me, a Zepp cover by CC Coletti. Okay, the staging here is rivaling cans much more expensive. Guitars are way outside my head on the right, and the vocals are right in the middle of my head. Powerful and natural. And imaging is top-notch again. Sounds are spread all around my head, with space in between the space. I kept listening and I had to add Wycliffe Gordon's Back Home Again in Indiana. Every single instrument sits in a different part of my head, completely separate from the others. It's quite surreal. It's left and right wide, it's front and back, and it's up and down too. Quite amazing. Okay, comparison time. This will be interesting. I have a couple of real rippers for you. First one being the Hi-Fi Edition XV, which I recently reviewed on this channel. I'll link that. They retail for $399 US, a little bit more expensive. On Jelly Roll's new song Hands Up, they are a much more relaxed listen. The AR5000s present much more detail and resolution without ever getting fatiguing. But smoother and mellower lovers will love the XVs. I prefer the AR5000 MK2s. Bass is similar on both with no clear winner, but staging is bigger on the AR5000 MK2s and imaging is better as well. Next is the recently reviewed Tangzu Ox Kings on headfi.org. These are a $349 US pair of planars. These have a closer treble presentation, but the Mark IIs still present more detail and transients are snappier. Vocals sit a tad back on the Ox Kings. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does give a slightly dipped mid presence. Bass is excellent on both. Both are deep with great weight. The Ox Kings have an overall warmer presentation than the AR5000 MK2s. The XVs have a overall smoother presentation. Personally, I prefer the MK2s to the other two sets. They were the most comfortable, I thought they looked the best, and they had the better cable. The verdict: who are these bad boys actually for? Let's wrap this up before my flatulence returns. I have reviewed some really quality headphones recently in this price bracket. The Aune AR5000 MK2 is an excellent example. And I can vouch for it not just being a structural fix of the Mark I. It's an entirely different flavour from my research and my review listening. Buy the Mark IIs if you want an incredibly comfortable, massive sounding, highly resolving open back headphones that you can run off literally anything without buying a desktop amplifier the size of a microwave. And they're bloody well priced. Skip them if you already own the Mark Is and you love that dark, ultra relaxed, warm signature, because the Mark IIs will be noticeably brighter and punchier in your face. That's it for today's dose of unhinged addiction. Thanks again to Shikaku from Aune for sending these out. If you liked this video or thought it may help with a purchasing decision, smash that subscribe and like button. Leave a comment down below telling me if you prefer warm or brighter tuning. And I will see you in the next one. Peace and stay metal.